Good morning, class.
Good morning, ma'am.
Okay, so the last time we were talking about was going from one activity to another using the intent, and then I was trying to explain you how to send the data along with the intent. So if you want to say share some data from one screen to another, how you can do it using these intents. So for that, we were trying to implement something last time, but I had a very bad network, so we could not connect at that time. So I was trying to explain you that in this first activity I put an edit text wherein a user can just enter his name, and from that the name we will just pass the name of the user from that screen to the another screen using the button. So the last time I just added this edit text. You know that for displaying some text, or if you want to show something as a label, you can use a text view, and whenever you want to input, I mean let the user input some data, you can use the edit text. So with the help of the edit text, what are you going to do is you can get the value name of the user. And you also know that how id is important. I mean, for each and every component or the view that we are using inside the xml, we need to provide a particular id for it, so that we can use them, we can access that particular id. So what I wanted to do is, here I have just simply put it I have just simply put a text view called a name, and then inside the text edit text I have put a hint wherein I have written enter your name. So the user can enter the name, and then finally I have a button called btn submit, and it has a text called submit written on it. Okay, so from this activity, I am going to send the value to another activity wherein I am just simply going to display hello and the name that user has input in the first field. Okay, so here I am just putting a text view. Now moving to the Java code. So for the Java code, what I have to do here is that I have to initialize the objects of the edit text and the button. So the object of the button was already initialized in the first, I mean, for the first time that we did the code for intent, but then we have added the object of the edit text. Suppose I want to input the value of the edit, I want the user to input his name. So I am using the object of edit text class. This is the name of my class. And after that, I'm defining the object called edt name. In the edt name, now I am going to initialize it. So for initializing, we have the method find view by id, and inside the find view by id I am passing the id. Say for example, here the id of the edit text is, I have mentioned, is edt name. So I am just going to refer to that. So here this is the edt name. And then what I want to do is, with the click of the button, I want to send the value from the name edit text. So for writing the click of the button, I am writing btn submit dot set on click listener and new view dot on click listener. Now you already know that, because I mean, the listeners that we have for each and every views, all of them are the interfaces. So we just simply implement all those interfaces. We can either use it by implementing over here. That is, after the extends activity name, we can use implements on click listener, and then you can get the method on click. Or this is the another way wherein you can just use the name of the object, and then you can use the listener like this dot set on click listener. And whenever you are using a particular listener, you have to initialize that particular listener too. So we write new view dot on click listener, and inside that we get the overrided method, that is the on click method. Inside the on click method, this much code is already written. What is this code? This code is something that we use for navigating from one activity to another activity. Say, for example, the first activity that we are in is called the main activity, and we want to go to the main activity too. So this is the code that we use for it. That is, we declare the object of the intent class and then initialize it in the same line. You can also do it like this: intent I, and here you did comma, and then I am doing I is equal to new intent. You can also do like this, but we will be declaring and initializing the object in the same line. So what am I doing is intent I is equal to new intent, and then I'm using the name of the activity that right now I am present in, that is the main activity. So this is the main activity dot this, and then with a comma I will write the activity where I want to go, that is the main activity dot class. And I explained you last time that whenever the, I mean, this code is already compiled, so I have the I can use the reference directly over here, and therefore I'm using main activity dot this. And this is this I mean the this for this activity I just have the class file for it, so I'm using the main activity dot class file. And then I'm using the method called start activity, and inside the start activity method I am passing the value of the intent, that is I. Okay. Now we wanted to pass the data along with the intent. This is the simple code for passing for navigating from one screen to another. Now I want to also pass the data along with it. Say for example, the data that the user is passing, we will be first simply storing it in some string. Say for example, the name of the string is string name, or say username. This is the name of the or the object of the string that I am using, and then with this string I will be passing the value in, I'll be storing the value that the user is entering into this string. So the string object is declared over here. Then what do I do is, now I have to assign some value to it. Now take a note of it that whenever you are declaring any objects, those objects will be declared in some gray kind of a color in this id. Okay, if you are using some other kind of, I mean some other theme over here, the same way you can differentiate the thing. But what am I trying to say is, whenever you have not initialized a particular object, or whenever you have not used a particular object, it would be shown in some different color. And whenever you are using or initializing that object, it will be shown in some different color. So this is how you get to, even you can know whether some objects have been declared or not, or whether you are using those particular objects or not. Okay, so we were talking about assigning the value to the string. So this is my string, and then what I do is equal to, now I have to get the value from the edit text. So the name of the edit text is edt name dot get text. edt name dot get text. Now get text is a method that I am getting of the object, the edit text class. Okay, whenever you want to get some data, you can get the method edit text, and whenever you want to set some data, you can use the method set text. Okay, this again is something that depends on the class that you are using. For example, the class I'm using over here is the edit text. So for the edit text object I can access this method. Now it depends whether you are using some other class, so whether it supports or not, you need to check that thing. But right now what we are concerned about is we want to get the value that the user is entering. So for getting the text that the user is entering, I am writing edt name dot get text. Now if you can see right now, it shows some kind of an error over here, and if I just go over here and click on this thing, it will be showing change the field username type to editable. That is, it is trying to tell me that either you have to change the type of the username. The type of the username is string, but the value that edt name dot get text is returning is an editable type. Or to be I mean, if you want to know clearly what it is, then it is some kind of a character array or something that it will be returning to me. Now this is a character array, this is a string object. So this, both the things are not compatible to each other, so right now it is showing me this kind of an error. Okay, so what do I need to do is, the value that this object and this method is returning, I just need to change it into string. So for changing anything into string, you can simply write dot to string with anything that you want to change into string. So what did I do is, the name of the edit text, that is this edt name dot get text and dot to string. So what do I do is, the value that the user is entering in this object, I am getting the text of it, and then I'm finally converting it into the string, and then this value will be stored into the into the string username. Now mind one thing very well, this thing that, I mean because you are using the method of a particular object, you need to mention those things only after you initialize that object. Only after you initialize the object, you can implement the interface for that object. So the first thing that you do whenever you create a particular class is you start initializing the objects in the way. That is the very first thing, because if you don't do this and if you simply write this line before this or something, then it will not get the value edt name, and hence it will show you a null pointer exception. We don't want to get that. So what do we do is first we initialize each and every object that we are going to use, and this way, and then we are simply using those objects. So the value that the user will be entering will be stored right now into the username. Now I want to pass this value along with the intent. So what I do is I, that is the object of the intent class, I have a method called put. Now see here. Now, this is the method called put extra. Now, along with the put extra, if you can see here, there are lots of constructor of this method that you can see. See, say for example, the put extra, the first one says string name and integer value. The second one says string name and byte value. You guys can see it, right? Okay. Okay, so if you can see here, it shows put extra for the name. I mean the method put extra has lots of different constructors that we can use. So you can pass all such kinds of data. That is, you can either pass the value, integer value, the byte value, the character value, the long value, the float value, integer array of integer, short value. You can pass the bundle in this. You can pass the byte array. You can pass the character array. You can pass the double value. You can pass the long array, you can pass a string value, you can pass the boolean value, float array, short array, double array, string array, lots of things. You can also pass the parsable, the character sequence, the parsable array, serializable object, all these things. Now the parsable and the serializable objects are something that you will understand only after you know certain basic things about Android. So I'm not discussing all those things right now, but these are the different kinds of values that you can pass with the you can pass from one screen to another. You can still see that it shows put integer array list, put parsable array list. So there are lots of things that you can use. I mean, this is a method that you can use very, that we use most often for passing the data. So right now we want to pass the string value. So I am simply going to select the parameter that shows string name and string value. Now, what does it do is there is no major changes in the name of the string. So it will simply put me this way. Now, if you have noted something, that for each and every put extra, the first argument that I have is string name for every method. See, if you, I will scroll this for you again. The first argument that we have, we have here is the string name. So what does this mean? So the method that we are using, that is the put extra, it will be passing the value in the form of name, key and value pair. Name and value or key and value pair, whatever you are comfortable with. So what does this key value pair means? This means that for each and every value, I have an associated key with it. ફરી વખત જે પણ ડેટા તમે સેન્ડ કરો છો એની સાથે એક એસોસિએટેડ કી રાખવાની, અને જેથી કે ઈ કીને યુઝ કરીને આપણે એ પર્ટિક્યુલર ડેટા ગેટ કરાવી શકીએ. કોઈ પણ વેલ્યુ તમે પાસ કરશો એમાં ફર્સ્ટ આર્ગ્યુમેન્ટ હંમેશા હશે સ્ટ્રિંગ, કે જેની અંદર કોઈ કી પાસ થશે, અને સેકન્ડ આર્ગ્યુમેન્ટ જે હશે એ તમારે જે ડેટા પાસ કરવો છે એ પાસ થશે. ફોર એક્ઝામ્પલ અહીંયા આગળ મારે શું પાસ કરવાનું છે, તો કે નેમ ઓફ ધી યુઝર. હું શું કરીશ, તો કે સૌથી પહેલી વેલ્યુ જે છે એ સ્ટ્રિંગ છે. I am just going to add the double quotes over here, and I am using the key u name. Okay, and then હવે આમાં મારે વેલ્યુ શું પાસ કરવાની, that I'll be passing using the comma. My value that I want to pass is stored in the string variable username. I am simply going to use this parameter over here, that is username, and then I am simply going to put a semicolon. So this is a simple, one line code for passing the value that you want in the next screen. So what do I do is, I'm explaining again. I am passing the value in the key and value format. The first argument will always be a key, and the second argument will always be the value that I want to pass. And then as usual we have a start activity. So what does it do is it will go from main activity dot this to main activity 2 dot class along with the value username. So in the second activity I have to make certain changes so that I can display the value over here. So for the second value we have the content uh, that has a text view over here, and now I want to use that text view, so I am simply going to add the id for it. So what do I do is I would use id and then I will use at the rate plus id. So now I'm going to name this text. So I'm going to use the prefix txt because it is a text view. So txt and then name. You can name all the views and view groups as per your convenience, but I would always suggest you to name it based on its functionality so that you can get the value of it, or you can directly use it whenever you want to use it. Now, I have mentioned the ID of this text view over here. Now, I am going into the main activity 2 dot class. So here I am going to set the value that the user has entered. So I am going to write the value in the text view. So I have to create the object of a text view. So this is text view, and the name of the object is txt name. Now what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to initialize this particular object. As I already told you that after this line, that is the set content view, whenever you want to use the objects, you have to initialize those objects so that you can use them directly based on the requirement. So now I'm using txt name is equal to again the same method that we use for initializing, that is find view by id. And for finding the view we write r dot, because this is an id, so r dot id dot, and what is the name of the text view that what is the id of the text view that we have assigned? It's txt name. So I'm going to write over here txt name. So this is how I am going to initialize this text view. Now after initializing this text view, I want to set the value that the user has entered in the previous activities edit text over here. So I have to get that value. So for because we have passed the value into the intent, I am simply going to create an object of the intent to get the value back. So I am writing the object intent I. Now I have to initialize this intent too so that I can use it. So I am writing I is equal to, now if you remember in the first activity we initialize the intent using new intent, and then we pass the name of the activity, the reference of the activity that we are in, and the name of the activity that we want to go in. Now here what we want is we want the data from the intent. So here for initializing the intent we will use the method get intent. Now get intent is a method that will get you the value whatever the user has sent into the value I. So now I am going to use I. So now what do I do is I am simply going to put the value that the user has entered into the text view. So for getting the value from the edit text, we had a method get text. Now for setting the value, we have a method called set text. Now we are going to set that value into the text view. So the object of the text view dot, and I have the method set text. Now inside the set text, what I am going to do is I am simply going to write hello, and then I want to append the value that the user has sent. So for appending operations in a string, what do I do is we write a plus sign and then I'm going to add the value. So my value is right now in I. So I'll be using I dot get string extra. See, here I have a method called get the for passing the value we had a method called put extra, and for getting the value we have a get method called get extra. And whenever you want just string values, we have a method called get string extra. For integer we have a get integer extra. See, we have I dot get. See, we have a get boolean extra, get string extra, get bundle extra, get integer extra. So whatever data type you are passing in the put extra method, you have the same method over here for getting those values. So we have a method called, as we have already passed the string value, so we have a method called get string extra. So using this get string extra, I will get the value that the user has passed. But Here in this get string extra method, I am supposed to pass the value of the key that I have used. Now again I will talk about this thing the way. We were asked to input two parameters, the first one being the key and the second one being the value. So we are simply going to use this key that we have over here, and we will be using that in this get extra method. So I will be writing the key over here inside the double quotes because it is a string value. So I will get the value something like hello, and then I will get the value that the user has entered over there. So this is how you do it. Okay, I will now just simply initialize this thing and run over here, and I will show you that. Okay. See, this is the first screen that we have. It has a text view called name. It has an edit text that has a hint called enter your name. Then we have a button over here. So I'm simply going to enter the name over here. Then I'm going to click on the submit button. So what did it do is it went to the another screen, but I'm not getting the value yet. Just a minute.